Dear Sagittarius, if there's been a strange feeling quietly weaving itself into your days lately, as if someone or something is very close, then don't dismiss it as fleeting sensitivity. Because some signs don't come from imagination. Some intuitions are the earliest warnings from your soul. You may not have a name for it. It might be just a glance through your window, a shadow that passes by every afternoon. A moment when you felt someone move behind you in the kitchen, even though the door was still locked. And you told yourself, I must be tired. But if you are a Sagittarius, a soul gifted by Jupiter with a heightened sense of spiritual alertness, then you know this. When the soul speaks, we must listen. This video hasn't found you by accident. It is a signal from the universe. An arrangement to help you re-examine your living space, especially those around you whom you once believed to be harmless. Today, I will share with you something that might surprise you. What drains you the most is not coming from strangers, but from the very place you thought was safest, your neighbors. And if all these years you've always chosen to be polite, to be peaceful, to keep silent when something felt off, then maybe now it's time to do the opposite. Not through resistance, but through the light of awareness. I will help you decode what is truly happening around you, why certain energetic doors are opening, and why you must close some of them. Starting today, before it's too late. If something I share with you in this video sparks recognition, please leave a like and share this message because someone else might be in need of this wake-up call too. And if you feel you are entering a season where divine protection is needed, leave a comment below that says, I choose to protect my destiny and my light, even if it displeases others. That comment is not just an affirmation. It's a way to connect with others who are vibrating at your same frequency. Those who, like you, have been silent for too long and are finally awakening. Sit down, Sagittarius. Take a deep breath, because the truth that's about to come might shake you, but it will also restore a power you thought you had lost. The power to feel safe again, in your own home and in your own light. There are moments when you can't quite explain why you feel irritable inside your own home. Just a few weeks ago, it was still your sanctuary, a place of ease, a place of peace. But recently, something has shifted. Everything looks the same. The chairs are in the same place, the light is as usual, but the feeling, it's no longer the same. You sense something has moved, not physically but energetically. A strange presence brushes through the air every afternoon. A pair of eyes from the neighbor's yard, watching in a way that unsettles you without a reason. A laugh that rises at midnight, not too loud but never quite soft enough to ignore. Is it your imagination? Are you just being overly sensitive? No, Sagittarius doesn't imagine. You feel. In astrology, Sagittarius is a mutable fire sign, not fixed, not stagnant. You are someone who picks up on subtle changes in your surroundings faster than most. Sensitivity doesn't mean weakness. Sensitivity means awareness. It means being one step ahead. It means feeling a strange vibration passing through, even when it leaves no trace. You might be a rational person, strong, logical. But even you have asked yourself, why is it that only you sense the air feels off? Why do others seem fine while you feel tense, alert, guarded? Because you are a Sagittarius. And the truth is, no one picks up on energetic imbalance as quickly as you do. You're not just someone who explores the outer world. You are constantly exploring what stirs within, a strange glimmer of light in a corner. Waking up at exactly 3 a.m. with a racing heart. Feeling like you're being watched as you water your plants. These are not coincidences. They are whispers from your intuition. A language without sound, yet it echoes loudly in your soul. And I know, you've laughed off a hunch before. You've tried to convince yourself you were overthinking. You've sat at a dinner table, smiled at a neighbor, made polite conversation, even while feeling something dry out inside you, as if their words were pulling you further from your own self. This time you know you can't ignore it anymore. Because intuition is not something we use in emergencies. It is the most natural and most powerful defense system God has ever given you. I have always believed intuition is a gift only given to those who dare to live truthfully. To those who do not pretend to be happy when they are aching inside. To those who cannot fake a smile when their soul is quietly crying for something they can't name. People like you, Sagittarius, who always seek the light, but are never afraid to face the dark. Have you ever asked yourself, why does someone who always smiles at you make your spine go cold when they enter the room? Why does a compliment from someone keep you up all night? We're taught to be kind, to be polite, not to be too suspicious. But some energy doesn't travel through words. Some vibrations come through a glance. And some well wishes carry invisible blades. They don't leave blood, but they bleed your soul of trust. It's time to relearn how to listen to your space, to read the unspoken language of the universe. And first of all, listen to your body. If you feel sudden tension walking down the hallway between two houses, if your heart races when you see someone standing at the fence, if you find yourself avoiding someone's gaze for no clear reason, then don't brush off those signals. They are the first shield you have against forces the physical world cannot see. Your body knows. Your soul knows. Your logic usually shows up late. If you've ever experienced this, leave a comment that says, "I've felt someone didn't like me, even when they smiled so sweetly." Share it, because sometimes saying it aloud is the beginning of healing. Not just for you, but for someone else who's listening right now. You are not crazy. You're simply more awake than others. And if you're still unsure, still hesitant to believe something is off around you, let me tell you this. A friend of mine, also a Sagittarius, once told me she moved houses, not because of anything obvious, but because she didn't feel safe living next to a woman who always brought over food, yet never looked her in the eyes. No proof. No solid reason. But soon after she moved, her new neighbors called her. The woman was arrested. She had been secretly watching and stealing information from the house next door. Intuition is real, and it will always save you, if you choose to believe it. So please, don't dismiss those sleepless nights without reason. Don't ignore the chills that run through you when someone mentions a certain name. Don't write off the way you always turn your head in the same direction every time you feel uneasy as coincidence. We are not made of flesh and bone alone. We are made of light and frequency, and that light, when protected, becomes the strongest shield you carry in this lifetime. That's why those seemingly random signs appearing around your living space may be sending a message far more important than you realize. There are things you've seen but haven't understood, things you brushed aside, but your soul still holds on to. And if you still remember that tightness in your chest when someone's eyes followed you as they passed your front door, that may have been the very first sign of something that needs to be uncovered. So next, we will take a closer look at your immediate surroundings, the symbols, the signs, the seemingly harmless objects, which may carry a vibration you should not overlook. Especially if you are a Sagittarius gifted with divine intuition, yet often too polite to act on it. There is something few people notice, but you've always sensed it. That every look, every word, even those coincidental items placed near your fence, carry their own energy. And sometimes, the most innocent-looking things are the strongest conduits for negativity to enter your life. In astrology, the third house, governing neighbors, speech, and close environments, when squared by Neptune or Pluto, often dissolves normal boundaries. People begin to seep into your life through casual comments, through friendly gestures, through what appears to be care, but leaves you feeling robbed of your freedom. And the fourth house, your foundation, your sacred space, when disrupted by surrounding chaos, ceases to be a sanctuary. It becomes the easiest point of energetic invasion. Not a wound that bleeds instantly, but one that lingers, slowly carving cracks in your emotions that you can't quite name. I once knew a single mother, also a Sagittarius, who said, "My neighbor was always sweet, occasionally brought cupcakes for me and my daughter. But something felt off. After each visit, my daughter would cry for hours, and I started having dreams of our house being robbed. No proof, no clear reason. But one day she rearranged her altar, shifted her front door placement based on a feng shui consultation, and everything changed. The energy softened. The neighbor started keeping her distance. You see, energy is real. The way someone watches you from their balcony could be harmless, or it could be a way to probe your weak spots. A neighbor doesn't need to step into your home to weigh you down. They only need to appear right as you step out your door and smile, in a way you can't quite return without sacrificing your peace. Because you're kind, You've always chosen to bend for the sake of harmony, but maybe, because you've always been kind, they assume you have no boundaries. In esoteric teachings, a house is called the heart point. It's the sacred intersection between your soul and the energy lines of the earth. And if left unguarded, it's not just your possessions, but your thoughts, your emotions, your very sense of safety that can be taken. And the envious neighbor? They don't need to knock on your door. They use their eyes to walk straight into your spirit. I don't say this to scare you. I say this so you begin to pay attention to the symbols appearing around your home. Do you remember that stone bench by the left fence? The one where you often drink tea in the afternoon? Have you ever stood up abruptly when someone from next door came outside, without knowing why? Or the plant you've grown for years, perfectly healthy, until someone looked at it curiously and asked, "How is that thing still alive?" And just days later, the leaves began to wilt? Sounds superstitious? Maybe to some. But if you are a Sagittarius, you know this truth deep in your bones. The things we cannot explain are often the very things your soul senses first. Because every word spoken is a vibration. Every seemingly small gesture is an influence on your frequency. Some people try to control you not with force, but with subtle traps of language. Casual questions about your private life, accidental compliments about your home, an unusual curiosity about your job, even though you've never truly connected. You've tried to maintain a civil relationship just to avoid being seen as rude. But ask yourself, how many times have you stepped into the garden only to go back inside because you felt someone was watching? How many times have you heard someone's voice outside the gate and instantly felt your body tense up? How many times have you made excuses for them and then laid awake all night, unable to rest? That's when you know you're no longer the center of your home, but a vessel being drained. The greatest lesson in this phase of your life is learning how to protect your energy. Not with anger, but with clarity. You don't need to yell at anyone. You don't need to change your tone, but you do need to define boundaries. You must rebuild the invisible fence that keeps negative waves from slipping through the seemingly harmless conversations. I used to think that keeping everyone happy was the right thing to do. But after sacrificing my inner peace to preserve outward harmony for too long, I realized there is no true peace if something inside me keeps silently resisting. You're not selfish for keeping others at a distance. You're simply honoring your responsibility to protect your inner world. So if someone keeps pushing into your personal space, listen to your feelings. If you find yourself smiling more than you actually feel comfortable with, that's a signal. If a simple "how are you" makes you feel guarded instead of comforted, that is no longer a genuine question. And have you ever met someone who always steers the conversation toward your possessions, your job, your private matters you never meant to share? Leave a comment and tell your story, not just to release it, but because your truth might wake someone else up in time. Sagittarius, you are a soul of action. But sometimes the strongest action is silence. It's standing still, redefining the boundary, and ensuring your energy is no longer breached. I know, you've tried to be kind to keep the peace, but the kinder you were, the more they crossed the line. Because you didn't speak, they assumed you didn't notice. But you did notice. And now, it's time to respond. Not with words, but with shifts in your gaze, in your distance, in how you choose to guard yourself. Every sign around you, from the unexpected knock at the door to the prying questions, is a clue. Start watching more closely. Who shows up when you're tired? Who talks just when you're seeking silence? Who praises something right before it starts falling apart? Because the real reason you feel drained isn't them. It's the open door you never closed. An energetic gate left ajar by kindness. A crack formed by trust. A smile you gave when you should have kept it. But it's not too late. Because now that you can see, you've already begun reclaiming your power. And next, we will go even deeper into the very places where invisible doorways are quietly draining your life force every day, and how to close them. Gently, firmly, without harming anyone. Because there are moments, no matter how much you try to make sense of them, that simply defy logic. A shadow brushing past the corner of your eye as you stand alone in your yard. A soft, strange sound echoing the moment you think of someone who's passed. A candle suddenly flaring right when that neighbor you're wary of walks by. You could call it coincidence, but when coincidence repeats, it becomes a message. In astrology, when Neptune, the planet of dreams, intuition, and the soul, moves through your 12th house, coincidence is no longer random. It's the thinning of the veil, the invisible beginning to touch the visible. And spirits, yes, even those who have long crossed over, are sending clearer signs than ever. Someone once told me this. One morning they opened the newspaper and saw their late mother's name, boldly printed on the front page of a local story. That same week, a nearby neighbor began acting strange. Too many questions, unannounced appearances at the gate, and comments that felt innocent, but sent chills down the spine. For some, that's just coincidence. But for those who've truly connected with the invisible realm, it's a loving warning from a soul that still watches over. Do you remember finding a white feather right at your doorstep? Or the candle you light every night suddenly burning sideways? Or hearing the soft creak of a door, even though everyone else was asleep? We often doubt our own intuition because this world teaches us to trust our eyes more than our inner knowing. But in those moments when you feel isolated, misunderstood by everyone, it is often an old soul who speaks first. Not in words, but in presence. Maybe you no longer hear their voice, but you feel them. A familiar scent, an old melody playing at the exact moment you feel fragile. A small object falling without anyone touching it. They're there. They haven't left. They're still trying to tell you, trust your feelings. You are not alone, and you are not crazy. You are being protected. The human lesson is this. When physical doors close, the soul finds a way to speak through the simplest of things. Because love does not die when the body fades. It only changes form, shifts frequency, and returns the moment you are weakest to help you stand again. I know, you may have told someone you felt a departed loved one nearby and they looked at you with doubt. But you don't need anyone to validate that sacred feeling. Because once your soul recognizes it, no one else's approval matters. Have you ever heard a gentle whisper in your heart just as you were about to give up? Have you ever stopped yourself from acting on impulse because you suddenly felt someone watching you with love from the other side? That's not an illusion. That's a presence. And it's more real than anything your hands can touch. The universe is speaking to you, not through textbooks, but through intuition, through emotions, through the tiniest of signs. Don't call it coincidence. Call it what it is, a reminder, a warning, a love letter. And maybe, on the days you feel unseen, unheard, misunderstood, someone, though no longer here, is placing a hand on your shoulder and whispering, believe in yourself. The path you're on has light at the end. Just don't let anyone dim it. Have you ever felt the presence of someone who has passed? Share your story below. Your comment is not just a memory, it's a spark, a sacred connection between you and that soul, resonating through hundreds, thousands of unseen frequencies right here, right now. Don't be afraid if you've seen strange signs before, because when you realize that you're being watched over by a soul full of light, it's no longer fear, but a deep, sacred gratitude. Gratitude, because you are no longer alone. Gratitude, because you are being reminded that you have value, a mission, and that you're standing at the threshold of something greater. And to cross that threshold safely, you can't keep living with your soul wide open to just anyone. It's time now for true protection. Not an iron fence, but a shield of light. A small ritual, but a sacred one, to seal the invisible cracks through which others may be drawing away your life force. So, take a deep breath. And now, I'll guide you through a simple yet powerful ceremony. One where you don't have to be afraid, don't have to fight, don't have to be angry. Just return to the pure energy within yourself. Are you ready to cleanse your living space and protect your soul from further intrusion? There are things that logic cannot resolve, energies that words cannot cleanse, and wounds that don't bleed. But if not purified properly, they'll continue to cling to your life like a layer of dust unseen by the eyes. Sagittarius, you don't need to fight your neighbors. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to react in defense. Because sometimes the most powerful way to protect yourself is to step into a ritual that is silent but sacred. To create a field of light so radiant that darkness doesn't dare come near. I want to guide you through a ritual. Very simple. but extremely effective. No elaborate tools, no complicated technique. What you need is your full presence and your belief that you have the sacred right to live in a space that is safe, both physically and spiritually. This ritual should begin on a Sunday morning when the sun is full, symbolizing truth, awakening, and inner power. Wake early, while everything is still, while the city still sleeps, while the space around you remains untouched, not yet mixed with noise, worries, or social demands. This is when your energy field is most open, most connected. Step 1. Light a white candle. Not just any candle, but a white one. Because white represents purification, new beginnings, and the light of the soul. Place the candle near your front door. Not too close, but close enough that its light touches the threshold. And as the candle burns, stand facing it. Spine straight, heart open, eyes calm. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, imagine a stream of light flowing from the crown of your head, down your shoulders, down your back and legs until it touches the earth. Now say this affirmation with your whole heart. I do not allow any energy to enter without the consent of my soul. This home is a sacred temple. Only light may remain. All else I release with love and gratitude. You may repeat it 3 times. Each time, notice what arises within you. Don't force anything. You might feel a release. You might feel a lump in your throat, a quiet sorrow with no name. Let it come. That is the old energy leaving your space. Step 2. Place sea salt in the 4 corners of your home. Salt is one of the oldest symbols of energy absorption. It doesn't destroy, it soothes, neutralizes, and returns everything to its original frequency. Take dry sea salt, place it in 4 small bowls. Set them in the 4 corners of your home, or in the east, west, north, and south if your layout is angled. Leave them there for 3 consecutive nights. During those 3 nights, each evening before bed, stand in the center of your home. Close your eyes. Place a hand on your heart. And quietly say, I reclaim my space. I call my soul back home. Each corner of this house is a part of me, and I love them as I love myself. You may not sleep deeply the first nights, but don't worry, that is the transition. Just like cleaning a house, the dust rises before the room is clear again. After the 3rd night, gather the 4 bowls of salt. Pour them into the earth where sunlight touches, or dissolve them in clean water and feed the trees. Do not throw them in the trash, because the salt has held the old energy, and now you are returning it to nature with reverence. This ritual does not banish anyone. It simply restores your boundaries. You don't need to shut the door tightly. Just set your limits clearly. You don't need to be angry. Just shine. Because when you turn on the light, darkness steps back. Do you know why the Bible says the righteous one guards the door of his home? Because if you don't protect your sacred space, no one else will. Don't be afraid to defend your energy. That's not selfish. That's human dignity. Everyone has the right to live in a space where their soul can breathe in safety, in calm, without judgment. You've lived too long in caution. You've become too used to softening yourself so others could feel comfortable. You've let their gaze decide when you could feel natural in your own home. No more. Now is the time for you to redraw your boundaries, not with iron fences, but with the light of awareness. Tell me, have you ever felt like you could finally breathe easier after tidying up your home, rearranging a room, or simply lighting incense and playing soft music? Your comment won't just be a reply. It will be a signal to the universe that you're beginning to protect yourself with a new kind of energy. I believe when a person starts guarding their sacred space, blessings begin to arrive. You won't have to chase them. They'll come on their own. Because light always knows where it's welcome. And you know what? When your energy is cleansed, when your home becomes truly sacred space, that's when your future begins to unfold. You'll notice certain people quietly stepping away without a word. Some won't look at you the same. Some may move out. Or perhaps you'll be the one relocated to a lighter, brighter environment. I can't promise that life will be free of challenges, but I can tell you this. From now on, you will no longer face darkness while your own door is still wide open. And in the final segment coming next, I will share something important with you. Why the universe begins to reward you the moment you choose to protect yourself. So stay with me, because what you've been waiting for hasn't even begun yet. It's preparing to enter, the very moment you're truly ready to receive it. Thank you for staying with me until this very moment. You may not realize it, dear Sagittarius, but you are extraordinary. Not because you are loud in your strength, but because you've had the courage to look back at what you once overlooked. You've dared to enter the path of self-protection, not with anger, but with awareness. And that is truly noble. As long as you keep choosing the light, as long as you continue to keep your space and soul clean, then no one and nothing can ever touch the most sacred part of you again. If something in this video touched your heart today, leave a like, as a quiet thank you to yourself. And if you believe someone else may need this light, share the video to extend this circle of protection even wider. And before you go, leave a comment as a declaration to the universe. I choose to live in the light, and no one can dim it but me. You deserve to be safe. You deserve peace. And you deserve to be seen with eyes of respect by the world and by yourself. I truly admire the way you've chosen to face things and walk toward the light. Not everyone has the courage you do.